Hey, I'm just sitting here editing, and I realized that there's two things I forgot to add. One, this video is sponsored, a little bit from them later. And number two, I want to add that if there's any editing technique or any camera technique or anything in this video, like for instance, why is this shot so wide all of a sudden? Any questions about that, leave them in the comments because I'm going to use that information on the post-production section of this video series. So if you have any questions about what I did in this video, camera settings, lens, all the little nitty-gritties, I'll do like a small Q&A portion in the post-production section where I can actually answer that relevant information. Anyway, back to Gardener. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is GARDNSOUND, and today we're going to be doing a video that's going to start me back on YouTube. I've been wanting to get back into YouTube for quite a while now. And here we are doing that thing. This video series is going to be a three-part series about everything you'd ever want to know about making a YouTube tutorial. And when I say YouTube tutorial, I mean like a software-based tutorial, like whether it's DaVinci or Ableton or you know, a Blender or 3ds Max 3ds. It's a graphic editing software. We all know what I'm talking about, right? We all get it, yeah. If you want to do a software tutorial, a video that, you know, says, here's how you do a cool thing in software that I like to use, this is going to be a guide for you. Now, this first video is going to be pretty introductory. It's not going to be, you know, as fast-paced and full-forced and in-your-face with total, you know, exhaustive information as the rest of them. This one's pretty much going to be anecdotal, you know, reviews of what I need to make the video. Like, what camera do I use? What settings do I use? Like, what microphones am I using? And I've done it in a pretty cool way, and you'll see that in a minute when the video starts. Now, I'm going to put some timestamps below to different sections of the video if you don't feel like watching the whole thing, and that's perfectly fine. And I'm also going to do my best to line things up on the timeline so you can see you know, where the things are if you decide to scrub the timeline with your mouse. That should be sufficient for people who want to know specific things. Now, if this is something you're not interested in, that's okay. You don't have to watch. Just close the video now. If this is something you are interested in and you're going to watch the whole thing, awesome. Thank you. And if you like this, there's more to come, and I'm going to get back into doing music tutorials again here on a semi-regular basis. Things have started to slow down with family life, and we're getting into a nice routine where I can sort of reliably adjust my schedule as needed. And if you like this, click subscribe. And if you want to see more of this content, you know, turn on the notification bell thing. Man, I'm rusty. I haven't done this in a while. Let's try it again. If you like this video, click the thumbs up button. If you want to see more, click the subscribe button. And if you want to know when I upload videos, when I publish these videos, you gotta hit that bell. You gotta hit the bell. Still got it. I can still roll with it. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Alright, let's get into it. So I'm going to do the first part of this video in a pretty cool way. I'm going to be talking about equipment mostly, and I want to make sure that I'm giving you an honest opinion on what is and is not necessary. So I'm going to start out with the shittiest possible shot that I can use, and we'll go up from there. Let's get one thing straight. You do not need a camera to make software tutorials. There are plenty of people who make software tutorials without the use of a camera. It's absolutely unnecessary. But if you kind of want to put your face in the shot, at least maybe in the lower third of your screen, like, you know, down in the corner or something, you would record it with a camera or a webcam or your cell phone. I mean, shoot, I shot the first part of this video on my Pixel 4a, and that was fine. That's a $350 camera direct from Google. It's a great little phone. Casey Neistat shoots a lot of his vlog content on his phone. If you're down to shoot a vlog or a music tutorial, you can use your phone camera. You can get one of those little teeny tripods and set it up on your desk and just have a couple of words. I'm going to let you know right now, the more of your face that you put into a video, the more people are going to give you shit. Because they don't want to see your face. They want to know the information about the tutorial. And so that's a risk you're going to take. If you're kind of a dork like me and you like to mess with camera stuff and you think this is interesting, then this part of the video is for you. If you're just interested in editing or, you know, OBS and that sort of thing, then maybe this isn't the right part of the video for you. I've left timestamps in the description below and hopefully on the timeline as well for you to be able to skip ahead and stuff like that. Here's the shittiest shot you can have. I'm driving the camera's ISO way too high. I've got the f-stop cranked down way too low. There's banding going on right here. You can see the banding from my TV screen actually not being in sync with the frame rate and the shutter speed of my camera. So let's talk first about the camera. Again, I said you could use a webcam. I said you could use your cell phone. I'm using a Canon 70D because originally I was kind of a fanboy of Casey Neistat, and that's the camera he recommends that people get started with if they're not familiar with cameras, and I can't agree more. This is the only brand recommendation I'm going to make. Canon cameras, they're kind of the Apple of the camera world. but they're extremely easy to use. And they have a lot of lens options available. Can't recommend Canon strongly enough, especially if you don't know what you're doing with cameras. I'd say runner-up would probably go to Panasonic. The GH4, GH5 family are amazing, especially for like the frame rates and resolutions that they offer. Let's upgrade us a little bit. Let's say we want to use a better lens. Now, earlier, I told you I was using the shittiest shot possible, and I lied. I'm sorry. If you distrust me, feel free to close the video. I'll wait. Good. You're still here. So the lens I'm using is a Sigma Art. I think it's 1.8 f. It's a 35 to something. What is the fucking 18 to 35? It's a great lens. It's their professional lens. It is absolutely overkill. The lens that the camera came with is this one right here. I'm about to put it on. You're not gonna notice the difference. Here, I'm just gonna. Ta-da! Here's the lens that the camera came with. It cost nothing on top of the price for the kit, and it's fine. It's just fine. In fact, the banding effect is a little bit reduced, and I think it's because it's not a full frame a rear element. You know, the Sigma lens's rear element is just like, it's a chunk of glass. I mean, look at that shit. Beautiful. But yeah, so that's what you're paying for, is that extra glass on both sides of that lens, and just it's a lot heavier. This is full metal construction, and the kit lens is mostly plastic. But it's a fine lens. It's got a great zoom on it too. I mean, look at this. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. I hope that was funny. The reason I use the nice lenses is because I'm a dork. You know, some people spend their money on football cards. Some people spend their money on going to bars. Some people spend their money on cars. I spend my money on synthesizers and lenses. That's my thing. We have the nice lens, so we might as well use it. All right, so nice lens, decent camera. What else are we working with here to make the shot better? Well, we could be holding the camera in our hand, right? We could be doing the whole selfie mode the whole time. I'm going to do this in real time right here. So, I mean, we could, oh, fuck, I took a picture. What a dork. We could be using the camera, you know, selfie mode, like real time, like a cell phone. Like, hey, what's up, everybody? How's it going? It's GARDNSOUND. What's up? Yeah. Let's not do that. Got a tripod here. Camera up on the tripod, and it's just a little desk tripod made out of aluminum. It goes really nicely in a backpack, which is what I like about it. All right, so you got the tripod, you got the camera, you got the lens. You still want to make your shot look better. What can you do? We're going to add some lighting. Lighting with video and color science with video is an entire field that I'm not going to get into. I'm going to drop some links in the description down below if you'd like to learn more about that, but it is some heady shit. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter as much as just making the shot look good. So here's the basics for how to set up a shot. All right, you got your camera, right? It's head on, right? So your subject is head on. If you want a 3-point light system, what you need is a light sort of to the side of them, right, to illuminate their face. You want a light behind them to illuminate the background, and you want another light sort of off to the side, but not directly facing 180 degrees from the camera. You never want to point light straight into the camera. You want the light off a little bit, and you want that to sort of illuminate their hair. Now, I've accomplished that with one light behind me because it has multiple lights, and I was able to position them with gimbals. I'm going to turn on the face light first so we can get some more light on my face, and I can quit driving the camera's ISO so hard. Now, this is a blown out shot because you can't see any detail on my face. So what we're going to do is we're not going to drive the sensor so hard. I'm going to take the f-stop up a little bit on the camera to maybe like, I don't know, 3.2 or something. Yeah, it's nice. Just reducing the amount of light that's able to get into the lens. And I'm going to take this down to its native ISO. There. So to me, this is a decent face light. You're able to see some detail on my face, but we're not crushing the image too hard. Now, it still looks kind of flat because there's not a whole lot of anything to give you context for what's happening behind me, and that's why you need a background light. So let's go turn that on. This is my 2-in-1 background and hair light. There you go. Now you see this is a decent shot because you have context for what's happening behind me. You also get that blurring effect, a focus on my face with a blurring of the background, and you're actually able to see that blur because of the background light. And again, we're not driving the camera sensor as hard. When you drive the camera sensor too hard, when you increase that ISO to the point where you're shooting in real low light settings, you're going to get noise. The same way as if you cranked up the gain all the way on your guitar amp. You're going to get some noise just from the circuits, and that's exactly what's happening inside of the camera when you drive the ISO and the sensor too hard. And we're also reducing the f-stop, meaning we're taking the aperture of the camera and sort of tightening it a little bit. All that to say you're getting more sharpness. So you get a sharper subject with a blurrier background. And that's kind of the aesthetic people are looking for these days. So again, this took me 15 minutes to set up. I didn't really put a lot of effort into it, but this, again, with that low amount of effort, you can get this much better of a shot, right? So let's compare this shot right now, and I'll go back to a previous shot. Here's the shittiest shot you can have. Okay, let's talk about batteries. So, batteries, dudes. This is the typical battery you'll find in a Canon camera. This is the, what is it, the F something? No, LPE6. I've got about 10 of these. And the reason I have 10 of these is because I keep them charged, and I have dead batteries and new batteries, and it's just a revolving door. Camera work, especially if you're doing field work, especially if you're like following somebody around on travel, you are basically a battery bitch. Like you charge batteries all the time. I can't tell you, like every single night when I checked into a hotel when I was on tour, the first thing you do is you just charge batteries. It's just battery charge after, that's it. And it's batteries for the mic, it's batteries for the camera, it's batteries for the lights. My lights here can run on batteries. I mean, I can take these around and have them be portable if I want to do like an interview. Don't spend a lot of money on them because they're gonna all die anyway. They go bad, and it's faster than you think. This is just a generic replacement battery that I bought off of Amazon. I bought like 6 at once with 2 chargers, and I just keep that revolving door of batteries going. Right now, I'm not using a battery. I'm using an AC adapter, which is like, it kind of hacks the Canon so that it thinks it's got a battery in it, but it's not. It's plugged into the wall. So right now, I don't have to worry about batteries because I'm sitting down in my studio, but I don't have that luxury if I'm in the field. Let's talk about SD cards. Oh boy. All right. This is a sampling of the different SD cards that I have. And I have all sorts of SD cards. And the reason is, some SD cards just don't fucking work with whatever camera for no reason. And shame on the SD Corporation or the SD Foundation for making it so fucking difficult. Why are there like 8 different types of every type of SD card with different, denominations of storage capacity and different speeds and different HDXC? I don't even know, my dudes. And certain cameras were designed to work with certain SD cards. And so what I recommend that you do when you're selecting a camera, please do some research and figure out what SD card works with that camera, and then see what the price of that card is. Because I gotta tell you, the ones that work with this camera are not cheap. Like they're the specific read-write speed, and if it's not there, it'll just stop recording all of a sudden. And usually it doesn't tell you it's doing it either. That little red light, and I'm getting kind of old and it's hard for me to see that little red light, just turns off. That's it. Please research your storage media, whether it's an SD card, or a CFast card or a hard drive or whatever storage media your camera is going to use. Make sure you know what it is. Make sure you know how much it costs. So the last thing I want to talk about in terms of just raw equipment that you might need is like extra storage and scratch discs and that sort of thing. So when I'm on tour or anything, I bring around an SD card. An SD card, Gardner, it's an SSD. What a doofus. So I bring around an SSD or some other portable hard drive because eventually this SD card, even though it's 64 gigs, is going to fill up, especially if I'm using nicer settings, which I like to do, again, because I was at one point obsessed with, the biggest bit depth and 4K and it's all totally fucking useless when it comes to YouTube because they just crush the fucking shit out of everything, including my soul. So storage is a big deal. Where are you going to put that footage? How are you going to keep track of it? We're going to talk about that in part 3. About like file systems and how to organize shots and footage and stuff like that. I'll show you how I do it. It's not typically how it's done because I'm not a union fucking editor. I'm not a union photographer. I'm just a dude who likes to make YouTube videos. That covers all of the camera equipment that you might need. Let's talk about audio. So I feel like this is far more important, especially for tutorials, because a lot of people aren't going to show their face, right? So the whole do you need a camera argument, that whole part of the video you could have skipped if you're not going to use a camera. Right now we're here talking about audio. Right now we're using the onboard audio of the camera, and I did that on purpose because I want to show you what the different steps up sound like. So this is onboard audio on the Canon 70D's microphone that's built in. I'm going to plug in a $25 microphone that I bought off Amazon 4 years ago and I've been using faithfully since. I'm going to turn it on. I'm just going to do this real time. I'm just going to plug it straight into the camera. Alright. So here's the audio from the shotgun mic that I have mounted on top of the camera. I prefer this over anything else. Now, you do get a little bit of background noise with this mic because it's pretty sensitive. It does have a pad that you could turn off, but I don't want to juice it in post, right? I want just audio I can work with that I don't have to really mess with in post. And this gives it to me. Now, there is one more upgrade you can make. A lot of people do this on YouTube when they're working with tutorials. And again, I'm just going to real-time switch over to this mic now. This is the Sterling Audio something, ST51, I think. It's a decent condenser mic, but my point is it's a condenser mic on my computer going through an audio card. Now, if you're doing a tutorial that doesn't involve you looking at the camera, instead you're turned this way, which is where my screen is, and I'm looking at my screen, typing and talking, doing like a workflow sort of video, I would definitely go with this type of a setup where you have a nice condenser mic, a nice dynamic microphone of some sort directly in front of you, about 6 inches away, so you're not getting all that nose, especially if you've got a schnoz that's as big as mine. It's just straight nasal when I get this close to the mic, but when I pull back a little bit with a nice pop filter, which is what this is, you're getting a nice audio stream, and that's what you need for that application. However, I feel like that's inappropriate for this video because I want to be facing you, and I want it to sound like I'm talking to you, right? I feel like that microphone gets in the way of our conversation and the feelings we have for each other and the rapport we've built. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to take you on a date. Like, I'm putting cologne on. Like, so now what I'm going to do is switch over to my computer and talk about the computer hardware I have and some of the software that you might need to get started. And I'll come back to talk to you at the very end about one more important thing. Stay tuned. You ever caught yourself watching one of my videos and thought to yourself, Gardner, damn, where do you get all these fucking rad clothes? I get them from Into the AM, and I've been a fan of them for a long time, and I am proud to say that they have sponsored this video. If you think this hoodie is dope, or any of the other hoodies that I've worn in there, hold on, let me get them. Let me show you my collection of dope freaking hoodies. Alright, so check this out. You've definitely seen this hoodie before. I wore it on a lot of episodes, back when I was, thinner. I wore it when I was on tour with Mr. Bill. Shit. Oh, wait a minute. I'm also wearing an Into the AM shirt. This is why they contacted me. They've got this new line of shirts. They are super comfortable. And I'm not saying this to be gross, but Caroline, she likes touching soft things. She can't keep her hands off me when I wear this. It's one of my favorites for sure. Look at the patterning on this. It is so cool. This is one of theirs. It is an all-over print. And I told you guys I'm a fan. Like, I bought these way before they contacted me. This is not... They didn't give me these. I bought these. Yeah, check that out. There's a space guy on the front of this thing. It's pretty cool. All like, what's up? Whoa. I've had these for years. They've been through, hundreds of cycles in the washing machine. They've all held up to the test of being really rough on I'm rough on my clothes. I mean, I'm a construction worker, for God's sake. This is my favorite one by far. If you guys have seen the Space Music video, this is the shirt that was on the Space Music video. Yeah, by far, this is my favorite one. And I was super stoked when they contacted me to say they wanted to sponsor my content. And I was like, you guys have no idea, I'm already a fan of the brand. It'll be an open and shut case for me to advertise this stuff. What? I'm sorry? You wish they had hats? Oh, shit, they do. I've got a link in the description below. If you are in the need of comfortable shirts, durable hoodies that are really radical, or any other clothes whatsoever, please go down below and check out the link in the description. It helps out the channel and it'll allow me to keep making videos like this. So thanks again to Into the AM for sponsoring my content, and thank you all for watching this ad. Back to the content. Alright, so this is my computer with a very full recycle bin. Let's go ahead and just empty that. The software that I mainly use is Ableton, right? So when I'm teaching a tutorial, I've got Ableton open, and I'm talking about Ableton. I normally full screen it too, so you don't have any of that border stuff going on. Just less stuff to edit and post, really. And I'm not going to get into the setup of this software or anything because my entire channel is pretty much devoted to this software. So if you're interested in Ableton, I have hundreds of videos on my channel about how to use this. So aside from Ableton or whatever software you choose to teach with, right? This is my teaching tool. There's a couple of interesting things that you're going to need. One is OBS or a similar screen recorder. The reason I use this one is because it's free, right? I can't recommend free hard enough. There's some settings you're going to need in order to make this a viable piece of software, though. And I'm going to go over those now with you. So down here, I've got what's happening in terms of my sources, right? So if we're thinking about OBS, it works in terms of sources. So sources would be a signal source for video, a capture card. It could be a video game screen or a window. It doesn't really matter what the source is, but there needs to be a video source and there needs to be an audio source. So for me, my audio source is my sound card, which is the RME Fireface 800.
And I'm not going to get into how to use this software because RME has done a great job of making tutorials on how to use this. But needless to say, I have piped everything into a channel, and that is what I told OBS to capture, right? It's right here in my DSP, right? So it's the 8.78, which is the same channel that I use in RME. I also have a, let's see here, what else is being displayed? Display capture, right? So if I turn this off, now you can't see anything. All right, I turned it back on. So this is capturing everything on my display, and I find that works best with Ableton because if you are using, let's say a plugin, let me slap FabFilter down here or something. If you put a plugin like this on, and OBS is set to capture Ableton's window, it will not capture this window. It'll just capture Ableton. And so you'll be talking about Pro C or whatever, like, okay, increase the attack, but nobody can see what you're doing. So that's why I've got it set to display capture. And I feel like that's the easiest way to do it. There might be a better way to do it if you're more into OBS and using like scripting languages. I'm not really. That is the dummy simple way to get it set up, and so that's what I'm going to recommend. You want to make sure you have your video output matching the resolution of your camera. So for me, that's 1080p. So you want to make sure this is correct, and you also want to make sure that your output is, where is it? For recording, is set to a scratch disk, something that you're not using with Ableton. Otherwise, you're going to get buffer underruns and like discrete errors and stuff like that. You can have a quick look at these settings if you'd like to copy mine. I don't mind. Here, pause the video, copy these settings. This is what works for me. So moving on from OBS, the third piece of software you're going to need is a video editor. For me, that's DaVinci Resolve. I used to be a Premiere guy, and I'm still okay with Premiere. I can edit on Premiere pretty well when I need to. But DaVinci really has taken the stage as a replacement for Premiere. And I prefer to use it for a number of reasons. I think it's a lot faster. I think the encoding is better. I think the rendering is faster. I think scrubbing the timeline is less of a hassle. It just feels less clunky to me. And it's cheaper, and the updates are free for life, and you're not tied into a subscription. Adobe's Creative Cloud, I think, is like one of the biggest ripoffs in software right now. So middle fingers up to you, Adobe. Y'all can get fucked. Go download DaVinci. You can download DaVinci absolutely for free. You just don't have the pro version. So you can actually go get the majority of what this software offers absolutely for free. And I'll put a link to their site in the description below. I do recommend the Pro, however, because you get access to Fusion, which is an awesome effects engine that comes with DaVinci. As well as I think there's some color settings and also some of the Fairlight settings inside the mixer here that are locked off when you're not using the Pro version. And the Pro version is only $300, so it's a full editing suite on par or better than Premiere, and it's $300 one time only, free updates for life. And we'll get into more about how to use DaVinci later in terms of like how to edit. So for me, again, I have 1, 2, 3 discs. C being where the application is housed, D being my music directory, and F being my scratch disk and long-term storage. I also have a server, which is not connected right now. I should go check on that at some point, just for large storage. So I have a NAS with a couple terabytes, well, a couple tens of terabytes. Video is huge, and it takes up a lot of room, and you don't want that on your computer. So I'd recommend a NAS or a big system of external hard drives. In terms of the types of hardware your computer should have, I've got 32 gigs of DDR4, which is perfect for buffering 3D applications if you're using Fusion like I do sometimes. Any sort of spatial rendering, you're going to want that extra amount of oomph. I have a Core i7 7700K, which is at 4.2 gigahertz right now, and that is plenty for rendering. And again, I've got that GTX 1080 for video work and buffering. This right here, your processor is really going to control your render time. Your RAM is going to control how smoothly your applications run, and the GPU is going to help you buffer video on the fly while you're scrubbing the timeline. And so that's where you want to look out for hardware stuff. Now, that was quite an investment for me, but again, I've made that return on my investment through doing freelance work, as well as YouTube. Another thing I would recommend while you're recording is to have something like this. So this is my how to make YouTube tutorials plan that I've written out. And this is the bullet points section. So it's kind of meta right here. I'm talking about the bullet points section while showing you the bullet points section. The importance of this is so you don't get off track and you can keep your talking concise and you don't have a ton of files to dig through later. So you can kind of, sort of hit the record button and go. And that's exactly what we're getting to right here. And actually, I'm going to turn the camera on right now.
When you record a YouTube video, especially if you're showing your face, you want to make sure that you're well slept, you've shaved your face, if you're a guy, or if you're a girl, I don't know, some girls have hairy faces, whatever. You want to make sure that you've taken a shower. You want to make sure that you've avoided drugs and alcohol. Like, nothing would be more embarrassing than to, you know, be too high on camera and start bumbling around with your words, or, you know, have a beer beforehand and be like, guys, look at the camera, it's fucking great. Make sure that you're feeling okay, and make sure that you feel good. Like, I don't turn the camera on if I don't really feel like it anymore, and that's important. You can see that. You can see that in somebody's face. That's the end of this video. So that's the pre-production and setup and all the equipment you possibly could need to make a decent YouTube tutorial. Hell, that's enough equipment to make a vlog. But you know, again, most of this is overkill. I'll break it down in the description by here's what you need for essential, and here's what you could do if you want to make it just that much better. But anyway, I hope this has been helpful. If I missed something, leave me a comment down below. If you have any questions, leave me a comment. I'm pretty responsive to comments. And if this wasn't helpful, I'm genuinely sorry. I thought I did a good job. Cheers.